Not all love stories are about happily ever after. What would you do if the person you loved most betrayed your trust not once but twice? This is Baka's story, a woman torn between heartbreak, hope, and the possibility of healing. Tears welled in her eyes, but she wanted to believe him. He pleaded, promised, swore he would never betray her trust again. Against her better judgment, she stayed. For a while, things were good. Karim was attentive, loving, the man she had fallen for. But old habits die hard. Beka had always been a woman who believed in love, deep, passionate, and unwavering. When she met Karim at a friend's art gallery opening, there was an instant spark. He was charming, with a smile that made her stomach flutter, and a way of speaking that made her feel like she was the only woman in the room. Their connection was undeniable. Late-night conversations turned into dates, and soon they were inseparable. Becca fell hard, believing that Karim felt the same. But there was something she didn't know. Karim had never been one to close doors behind him. Before Becca, he had been seeing other women, and even after they became exclusive, he struggled to let go of old habits. Rosa was one of them, a woman from his past who still lingered in his present. Becca had no idea until a message popped up on Karim's phone one evening while he was in the shower. "I miss you. When can I see you again?" Her heart dropped. Confronting him, she demanded the truth. Karim's face paled, but then he shook his head, pulling her into his arms. "Rosa? She's just a friend, Becca. I swear, there's nothing going on. You're the only one I want." Months later, Becca discovered she was pregnant. Overjoyed yet nervous, she planned how to tell him, imagining the life they'd build together. But fate had other plans. One evening, while scrolling through social media, she stumbled upon a post, Rosa and Karim, arms wrapped around each other, dated just a week prior. Her world shattered. This time, when she confronted him, there was no lie smooth enough to cover the truth. Karim's face crumpled as he struggled for words. "Becca, She held up a hand, tears streaming silently. "Don't." Now, standing at the crossroads of heartbreak and motherhood, Becca had a choice to make, one that would change everything. Becca stood in the bathroom, staring at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands. The two pink lines confirmed what her body had already been telling her. A mix of emotions flooded her: joy, fear, uncertainty. She had dreamed of this moment, but not under these circumstances. Not after discovering Karim's betrayal. For days, she wrestled with whether to even tell him. But as much as he had hurt her, she knew he had a right to know. One evening, as they sat on the couch together, Karim scrolling through his phone, Becca nervously twisting her fingers, she took a deep breath. "Karim, we need to talk." He looked up, sensing the weight in her voice. "What's wrong?" She met his eyes, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm pregnant." For a moment, time stood still. Then Karim's face transformed. His eyes widened, his lips curled into a disbelieving smile, and before she could react, he pulled her into a tight embrace. "Becca. Oh my God, this is amazing." He pulled back, cupping her face, his excitement radiating. "We're having a baby." She searched his eyes, looking for any hint of hesitation, but all she saw was pure joy. It was the first time in months she felt like she could truly believe him. That night, Karim held her close, whispering promises into her hair. "I'm going to be better, Becca. For you, for our baby. No more distractions, no more lies." And for once, he meant it. The next morning, Becca watched as Karim picked up his phone and blocked Rosa's number, then deleted every trace of her from his social media. "No more half-hearted love, he said, kissing Becca's forehead. "It's just us now." As the weeks passed, Karim proved his words with actions. He attended every doctor's appointment, held her hair back when morning sickness struck, and spent evenings rubbing her feet while they talked about baby names. He was present. fully, completely. But Becca's heart was still guarded. She wanted to trust him, but the wounds of his betrayal ran deep. One evening, as they lay in bed, Kareem's hand resting gently on her growing belly, Becca finally voiced her fear. "What if you change your mind again?" she whispered. Kareem turned to her, his expression serious. "I won't. This baby. You are my wake-up call. I don't want to lose what we have." Becca wanted to believe him, and maybe, just maybe this time she could. But as their due date drew closer, life had one more test for them, one that would determine if Kareem's change of heart was truly permanent. The ultrasound room was filled with nervous laughter as the technician moved the wand over Becca's rounded belly. Then suddenly, "Wait a minute. Let me just—" "Oh!" The technician's eyes widened. "Well, someone's getting a 2-for-1 deal." She turned the screen toward them, pointing. "See that? There's 2 little ones in here." Becca gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. "Twins?" Kareem's face transformed. His grin stretched from ear to ear, his eyes shimmering with instant tears. "Twins!" He squeezed Becca's hand, laughing in disbelief. "Becca, we're having 2 babies. I always dreamed of this." In that moment, everything felt perfect. The months passed in a blissful haze. Kareem was everything Becca had ever wanted: attentive, affectionate, and already obsessed with his unborn children. He painted the nursery himself, built 2 cribs, and even started a daddy diary where he wrote letters to his future sons or daughters. Becca had never been happier. The man she always knew Kareem could be was finally here. Then, one quiet evening, as they lounged on the couch watching a movie, Kareem's phone rang. Unknown number. He hesitated for half a second before answering. "Hello?" A woman's voice, soft, familiar, responded. "Kareem?" "It's Rosa." Kareem's entire body tensed. Without a word, he ended the call and set the phone down like it was on fire. Becca glanced over. "Who was that?" Kareem forced a casual shrug. "Wrong number." Becca nodded, turning back to the movie. She hadn't recognized the voice, just heard a generic female tone. No reason to suspect anything. But Kareem's hands were shaking. Kareem stood on their balcony staring at his phone. Rosa had texted, "I know you hung up. We need to talk." His thumb hovered over the delete button. Ignore her, just keep ignoring her. But then another message came through. "It's important. Meet me tomorrow or I'll come to you." Kareem swallowed hard. He had everything to lose now: Becca, his twins, the life he'd built. But Rosa wasn't the type to disappear quietly. Life had settled into a beautiful rhythm for Kareem and Becca. Their twins, Zara and Ryan, were now a month old, filling their home with tiny coos, sleepless nights, and a love deeper than either had ever known. Kareem had fully embraced fatherhood, his past indiscretions feeling like a distant dream. Then, on a quiet Tuesday night, everything shifted. Kareem sat on the couch, scrolling mindlessly through Facebook, while Becca napped with the twins in the nursery. A notification popped up at the top of his screen. New message from Sophia Reyes, account created 1 week ago. "Kareem, it's Rosa. I had to make a new account to reach you. Please, we really need to talk." His thumb froze mid-scroll. A cold prickle ran down his neck. Rosa. After all this time, after changing his number, moving homes, building this new life, she still found him. He glanced toward the nursery where Becca's soft snores blended with the twins' sleepy murmurs. Should he respond? Delete it? Pretend he never saw it? Kareem exhaled sharply and typed back, "There's nothing to talk about, Rosa. I'm done with the past." He hovered over the block button, but then 3 dots appeared. She was typing, "It's not about us. It's something you deserve to know, but not like this. Call me?" Kareem clenched his jaw. What game was she playing now? Just then, Becca padded into the living room, rubbing her eyes. "Everything okay?" Kareem flipped his phone screen down on the couch. "Yeah, just work stuff." Becca smiled sleepily and curled into his side. "The twins are finally down. We should sleep too." He kissed her forehead, guilt twisting in his gut. Yeah, let's go. But as they walked to the bedroom, Kareem's mind raced. What did Rosa want? And more importantly, could he risk ignoring it? Kareem sat in his car outside work, gripping his phone with numb fingers. The call with Rosa had ended minutes ago, but her words still pulsed through him like a poison. You have a son, Kareem. His name is Elias. He's 2 months old. A son. Rosa had been pregnant at the same time as Becca. While he was building a life with his family, another child, his child, had been born into the world without him knowing. His throat tightened. He thought he might be sick. Rosa's voice had been calm, almost detached, as she explained, I tried to tell you when I first found out, but you changed your number. I didn't want to show up and ruin your life, but he deserves to know his father. Kareem had been silent for so long that Rosa finally sighed. I'll send you a picture. Just think about what you want to do. A second later, his phone buzzed. A tiny face, his nose, his thick curls, stared back at him. That's when the tears came. Kareem didn't know how long he sat there, crying in the parking lot. His mind spiraled. How could he tell Becca? Would she leave him? What did this mean for his twins? Could he even be a father to Elias? Worst of all, he had done this. This wasn't some mistake from years ago. He had been with Rosa while with Becca, while promising her a future, while loving her. The betrayal was unforgivable. Kareem didn't go home until late, long after Becca's usual bedtime. But when he opened the door, the living room light was still on. Becca sat on the couch, Zara and Ryan swaddled in her arms. She took one look at his red-rimmed eyes and knew. Kareem! Her voice was soft, wary. What's wrong? He opened his mouth. No words came out. The house was silent except for the soft hum of the baby monitor, where Zara and Ryan slept peacefully, unaware of the storm about to break. Becca sat across from Kareem on the couch, her hands folded tightly in her lap. The moment he had walked in, eyes bloodshot, shoulders slumped, she knew something was terribly wrong. And now, the way he looked at her, the way his voice cracked when he spoke. You know I love you, right? A single tear rolled down his cheek. Becca's stomach dropped. Kareem's hands trembled as he pulled out his phone, opened the photo Rosa had sent, and handed it to Becca without a word. A baby? His eyes? His nose? Becca's breath hitched. Who is this? She whispered, though deep down she already knew. Kareem swallowed hard. His name is Elias. He's mine. Rosa's. A beat of silence. Then, he's 2 months old. Becca's entire body went still. 2 months. That meant the math was undeniable. Rosa had been pregnant at the same time as her. While Becca was glowing with the promise of their twins, while Kareem was rubbing her feet and picking out baby names while he was swearing he was all in. He had another child on the way. The room spun. Becca stood abruptly, the phone clattering onto the couch. She turned away, arms wrapped around herself like she was holding herself together. Kareem reached for her. Becca, please. Don't. Her voice was barely audible, but it cut through him like a blade. Just don't. She didn't scream, didn't cry. The silence was worse. Finally, she turned back to him, her eyes hollow. Did you know? While I was pregnant? Kareem shook his head violently. No, I swear, Becca. I had no idea until today. I cut things off with Rosa months before we even found out about the twins. I thought, but you were with her then, Becca interrupted. While you were with me. While you promised me this was real. Kareem had no defense. Becca took a shaky breath. What happens now? Kareem opened his mouth, but no words came. Because the truth was, he didn't know. The weight of Kareem's secret now pressed down on 3 lives, his, Becca's, and Rosa's, each shattered in their own way. When Kareem finally called Rosa back, her voice was sharp with expectation. So, when are we telling our families? Elias needs a father. Properly. Kareem's stomach twisted. She didn't know. Rosa? He exhaled. There's something you need to know. I'm married. We have twins. Silence, then, "What?" Her voice cracked. "You, you have a whole family?" The realization hit her like a physical blow. All this time, she thought she was fighting for a future with him. Instead, she had been the other woman without even knowing it. "You lied to me, too," she whispered, rage simmering beneath the hurt. "You let me believe there was a chance." Kareem had no defense. He had lied, by omission, by cowardice. Now, Rosa's pain turned to fury. "You think you can just pick and choose when to be a father?" Number. Either you step up for Elias fully, or I'll make sure everyone knows the kind of man you really are. At home, Becca moved through the days like a ghost. She cared for the twins mechanically, her smile never reaching her eyes. Kareem begged for forgiveness, but words were worthless now. "You made me a fool," she said one night, voice hollow. "I believed you when you said it was just us." But there was never just us, was there? Kareem reached for her, but she flinched away. "Don't touch me." The worst part? She didn't even cry anymore. She was just empty. Trapped between two women and two children, Kareem unraveled. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time he held Zara and Rayyan, guilt choked him. Would they grow up resenting him? Would Elias ever know his father? And Rosa's threats loomed. Exposure, shame, a custody battle. But worse than that, the quiet way Becca looked at him now, like the man she loved had died. Then, the unthinkable happened. Rosa showed up at his job. Elias was in her arms. "You want to hide us?" she challenged, voice trembling. "Then look at your son first and tell him you don't want him." Kareem's coworker stared. Whispers spread. And in that moment, he knew. There was no running anymore. The office lobby had never felt so suffocating. Kareem stood frozen as Rosa's voice echoed. Elias cradled against her chest. His son, tiny and innocent, in the middle of this mess. Coworkers lingered nearby, pretending not to eavesdrop, but their sideways glances burned into him. "How did you even find me?" Kareem hissed under his breath, his face hot with shame. Rosa's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You deleted your social media, but your coworker didn't." "I messaged him pretending to be an old friend." Clever, relentless, desperate. Kareem dragged a hand down his face. This was his fault. All of it. He had been selfish, reckless, and now 3 lives were in ruins because of his lies. That night, Kareem sat on the edge of his bed, watching Becca sleep beside the twins' bassinet. She looked exhausted, her lashes still damp from earlier tears. He had done this. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut. He couldn't keep living in limbo, hurting everyone, fixing nothing. It was time to choose. Not between Becca and Rosa, but between the man he was and the man he needed to become. The next morning, Kareem did 3 things. 1. He called Rosa. "Meet me in the park, just you and Elias, we need to talk." 2. He woke Becca with a kiss to her forehead. "Whatever happens today, know that I love you. And I'm going to fix this." 3. He booked a DNA test, because if he was going to take responsibility, he needed absolute certainty. Under the shade of an oak tree, Rosa faced him, Elias asleep in his stroller. "You can't keep avoiding us," she said, arms crossed. Kareem took a deep breath. "I'm not. But we're doing this right." He slid the DNA test paperwork toward her. "Once this confirms he's mine, I'll be in his life. Financially, physically, whatever he needs." But Rosa, his voice hardened. "I'm married. I'm not leaving my family. And if you ever show up at my job again, we'll handle this through lawyers." Rosa's lips parted in shock. This wasn't the weak, evasive Kareem she knew. "You don't get to dictate terms." "Yes, I do," he interrupted. "You want Elias to have a father?" Then this is how it happens. No games, no threats. Just the truth. For the first time, Rosa looked uncertain. Becca was waiting when he walked in, the twins in her arms. "Well?" she asked quietly. Kareem fell to his knees in front of her, his voice raw. "I'll spend the rest of my life making this up to you." but I need to know. Can you ever forgive me? Becca closed her eyes, a tear slipping free. Becca sat in the quiet nursery, watching the twins sleep, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect rhythm. The weight of the past weeks pressed on her, but beneath the hurt, something else lingered. Love. Foolish, perhaps, but real. Kareem had shattered her trust, upended their peace, and brought a storm into their lives. But he had also owned his mistakes. He was fighting, truly fighting, to be better. And wasn't that worth something? She found Kareem on the back porch, his head in his hands. When he looked up, his eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. Becca, I'm not done being angry, she said softly, cutting him off. But I'm done pretending I don't love you. Kareem's breath caught. Elias deserves his father, she continued, voice steady. And you're a good one. I won't keep him from you, but Kareem. She met his gaze, her own eyes blazing with resolve. This is your last chance. One more lie, one more betrayal, and I'm gone. For good. Kareem didn't hesitate. He dropped to his knees in front of her, hands trembling as he took hers. I swear on our children's lives, no more secrets, no more running, just us. All of us. Weeks passed. The DNA test confirmed the truth. Elias was Kareem's son. Rosa, though still bitter, agreed to a custody arrangement. No more threats, no more chaos. Just two parents doing their best for a child who deserved love. Kareem brought Elias home for the first time on a Sunday. Becca's heart clenched at the sight of him. So small, so innocent in all this. This is your brother and sister, Kareem whispered, lifting Elias to peer into the bassinet where Zara and Ryan slept. And this? He glanced at Becca, his voice thick. This is your family. Becca reached out, brushing a finger over Elias's curls. Welcome home, she murmured. It wasn't easy. Some days the anger flared. Some nights Becca lay awake, wondering if she'd made the right choice. But then she'd watch Kareem rock Elias to sleep after a feeding, or sing to the twins while they giggled, or pull her close in the kitchen just because. And she'd remember, love wasn't the absence of mistakes. It was what came after. The choosing, the rebuilding, the staying. Elias's first birthday party was a crowded, chaotic affair. Rosa stood in the corner, civil but distant. The twins toddled around, chasing balloons. And Kareem? He stood beside Becca, his arm around her waist, pressing a kiss to her temple. Thank you, he whispered. For this. For me. Becca leaned into him, smiling as Elias smashed his fist into his cake. We're okay, she said simply. And for the first time in a long time, she meant it. The end. Every story leaves us with a question. What would you have done in Becca's shoes? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.